Do you have any question? Somebody wants to say
we're
something?
finished.
Well, yeah,
It's quite early.
Is it?
I could ask a
Well, yeah, sure. Hi.
I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed the posters for the Vliegende Panzers and what you did by adding that second poster and what you learned about people's reactions. And I have probably a very specific perspective because I'm an erotic film director.
Oh, cool.
But I've noticed the same thing in my own work, which is that even though my films are not quite as explicit as what you would see on like PornTube or whatever, that mainstream porn, because what I'm doing is more adult cinema, they're experienced sometimes by people as being more confrontational because they aren't glamorized. Like, people are used to glamour and they're used to a certain kind of styling and they're used to certain kinds of poses. So if you start going beyond that and showing something that deviates from that and maybe is perceived as unexpected or more real, people don't know what to think. And that can be very positive, but it's definitely pretty intense for people.
Yeah, and we have that exactly that same thing. And why do you think people react so heavily on it when you see a normal body part instead of a stylish, photoshopped body part?
It gets reality.
I think part of it is you just get accustomed to seeing these images. Like you said, like you see naked breasts in a Hugo Boss ad and you don't even notice anymore because we've seen it so much. We've just become very used to it. But I also think that like rare moments of authenticity evoke a very emotional reaction in us, and they're hard to find. And it becomes harder and harder to find the more images of sexuality we see in the media, to find those rare moments. But there's something that works, I think, on a very basic level that grabs you. Yeah. And that's also true of other kinds of emotion, not just sexual emotion, but it really grabs you at a base level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I also got to think about the youth. I don't know how it was for everyone, but I also remember on the beach that woman, you know, didn't care if they had a BH, a string on, or they just showed their breasts, and I thought it was normal. My mom had breasts too, you know. I just didn't think of it because I was also a child. And later on, yeah, your focus gets different, but anyway, it's a normal thing. But now on the beach, nobody does it anymore, and there are even countries where you get a fine. So it's weird. Why should it be covered? Is it because of the media? What do you think?
And I also,
yeah.
It's the whole landscape, because you talked about the 70s and women on the beach, but I have a child of 7 years old now, and we listen to old songs from the Stratenmaker op Zee show. You remember that? I don't know, but that was very.
Stratenmaker op Zee.
Yeah, that were songs that were super heavy, quite normal in that time. But talk about poop and peace and
all right.
Yeah. Sex, and it was very, very normal.
Like Thea,
yeah,
but then
quite a bit heavier, and it was super normal, and it's very funny. But now it's when I sing that to her, and she sings it in the classroom. Our kids, or you know, they're looking very funny at her. But then it was super normal.
Yeah, it also, the VPRO had a lot of TV. Was it from the VPRO, this one? They had Porno de Porno, and all the Dutch people are nodding their heads. And Theo and Thea, we were like a duo. Everybody knows them. They talked about a lot of sex stuff, you know. And they asked also in the show, it's a pity we can't show it now, but you gotta watch it on YouTube. And you know, they say like, what is sex and how does it work? And they just showed their parts. It was on television. But that's so you see that difference too then, that shift in media, how they show it.
Yeah, but I think it's all because of the internet.
Oh, really?
Everything is so out there at the moment. You can see everything. Everybody is afraid that their child is being photographed on the beach wearing nothing. Yeah. And I think it's very normal that your child is walking around without a bikini top if it's 3 years old.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we had some bad experiences, especially here in Amsterdam. We all know that with our children. Yeah. I think it's always a reaction on what happened, and there was just an article about it in the Volkskrant last Saturday. That's more about with the children. I was reading it, and I was really like, wow, a lot of things changed in 10 years. It's true that, and now I read that there are even schools, and when you do this to a child, they can give you a fine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's always about where's the border.
Don't you also think it has to do with the context you're placing that image in? I mean, like, you know, renowned photographer Helmut Newton is renowned for his nudity work, dedicated an entire museum to it. And has like a particular culture, like, you know, it's very artsy, it's very really focused on the beauty of a woman, and really doesn't matter how styled she is or what kind of age she has. But if you link it to politics, if you link it to cabaret, if you link it to, you know, put it to a certain subject, it, you know, maybe it's not the place for nudity or sex, those kind of areas.
Well, so it feels safe in the museum to watch it, and you know, oh, this is art, so...
Well, no, museum, not the museum, but the image itself, it's non-branded. It's like, it's just clean, it's
yeah.
You know, just the beauty of the art form. The moment you put a sticker on it, or a tagline, or anything, you put it in a different context. Maybe that's confusing to people.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah.
Well,
could be.
Well, I think that the cultural assignments are the assignments where you get a little bit more freedom and then you can play around, and so that's the podium you want as a maker, just to do things like this, to shock people and to start new conversations. And well, in fashion, you're just it's advertising. You have to sell clothes, and Helmut Newton used sex to sell the clothes, especially in the 80s, I think. So I don't know. Maybe you're right, but maybe that's the whole starting point om het juist te doen. To do it.
But imagine you would leave out the Concertgebouw logo.
Yeah.
What would happen then?
Would be,
That's a good thing, if you just show the poster without anything and let people get used to it, and later on, yeah.
Let's be honest, we're also trying to get attention, and we use it. It's not that we're naive and just do it.
Well, it should be relevant, of course, not just to... Yeah, hi. You
Sorry, I don't know this, but does all your work involve nudity?
no way, no.
Why do you ask?
She's very curious. Yeah, well, watch the site of Superglue Creatives. It links to our personal sites, and you can watch the incredible work of Arjan. And it's so wide, and also for me, we for every client we do something different. So it has to make sense, for sure. Yeah, to do. Yes.
We talked a little bit about the public reaction to sex and seeing strong visuals, but how are clients evolving when you come to them and say, I'm thinking about doing this? Have you seen a change over the last 10, 15 years?
Oh yeah. They're
getting a little bit cheekier and want to try something else?
Well, they really hesitate. They have a lot of phone calls, maybe because of what you said about the internet, that it's going to stay out there. And their children are going to see it too. And maybe it used to be something really quick in between, something on the street, and it will go away. Maybe you'll get into a book nicely registered, but that's different now, right? So, but they're really, aware about the choice. And so it's not something they'll do automatically, but well, yeah. It's if the goal is pure and they know it, yeah, they will do it. But still, it's becoming rare. I wish I could show more examples about posters and about movies. And of course, there is still a lot of sex being implemented in work, but it's getting less. And I don't know why that is. Well, you can say it's because of this or that, but rationally, I don't get it, because I come from a time a little bit before the internet.
What I find difficult about that clients are just a little bit afraid to do it wrong. There's always somebody telling you that you did it wrong, and with nudity and sex, you're an easy target. And for us, we're just free people doing our thing, and we will have a win-win situation. So, and they're aware of that. But the thing is, for me, there's a big difference between nudity and sex. And when it's about feeling watched or about kwetsbaarheid,
vulnerability, Yeah.
those are things you really want to use, especially in theater. And nudity is a big weapon, and it would be a waste if well, actually somebody warned me, the legal department of one of the agencies I'm in, that I might be in troubles when I go to the United States, because there are some nude children on my website, so I could end up in prison. And I'm like, whoa, that's really a bridge too far. But so yeah, it's about.
And also don't forget, this guy, the cabaretier you saw with the boner, well, his kid is going to school, right? And all the kids are going to say, hey, saw your dad. Well, he was looking good, you know. And he's going like, yeah, it was my dad, you know. So it's a big thing. Everybody will talk about it. So yeah, it's they have to talk to their family. They have to, you know, it's a real thing now. Yeah.
Do you think it wasn't a big thing when you were looking at the other posters when you were younger? Because when you saw them, you were shocked
Sure,
or
of course
by
it
it
was.
too.
Yeah, of course it was.
But it did its job.
But it
changed.
did, and it did a lot more, because there are so many posts in that period, and I know it was the zeitgeist. Everybody was doing this, you know, have a nice breast or having this or.
Yeah, it became true.
And it became almost fashion to do a raw nude picture, and that's, yeah, it was cool.
But
So.
then also, if you compare the posters you made for Schweigman
All right. Yeah.
with the more cabaret posters,
Yeah.
I don't think those Schweigman posters are they're about nudity too, but they're not so controversial because they don't imply something, which
Yeah, that's true.
the other ones do.
But
So the message that
Yeah.
you give is different.
Absolutely.
And you want to provoke people.
Yeah.
anyway.
But still, just for the viewer, that's really from the creator's point of view, and I really agree, and also for the client. But the people who watch it will say, "Hey, that's a breast. Hey, whoa," or "That's nude." And I get that reactions just by showing the portfolio to possible clients. They all go, "Okay," and I don't know why, but they're not looking at the school effect in the water or in the visual twist. They're looking like, "Oh my God, that's nude." No. So from, you know, so that's why.
The last image that you showed was the only really overtly sexual, but did you have any reactions to that in the press? Or was that
Not
accepted?
yet.
Not yet, because it's going to. You're actually you got the honor to see it already now. It's already available as a publicity image, and it's being spread out by magazines and all that. But
I think it's September, isn't it?
yeah, the show will start then, and then they were going to really going public with it. So that's why. So we'll see.